Manx Radio Podcasts, powered by Shaw.
Well, hello and welcome to this week's Countryside programme with Kiri Kermit and Simon Clark. And, well, Harry Kelly's cottage. I was down at Cregneath last week, as you remember, talking about bugs and bees and things, and it brought back a lot of childhood memories having a look around there, and I couldn't resist the temptation to go and have a peek inside Harry Kelly's cottage, you know, that famous preservation that the Manx Heritage have got down there, the way it was 300 years ago, and went in there and the fire was still smoking and that wood, and I couldn't get a better man to describe how it operates and how things were than Tim O'Hanlon. So we've been having a look back at my childhood and his, probably talking about that on the programme. And it's a place that you go very often.
Cregneath, I tend to get down a couple of times a year. I find it really lovely down there, especially when the daffodils are out in April, and then Hoptune at the end of the year as well, just to round it off. It's a really special place, and it's so well preserved by the Manx National Heritage, and people should really enjoy it.
Yeah, and you were getting news on, well, a young lad's quest to get somewhere in the Isle of Man with their own business and hopefully trying to promote, and is promoting, the use of the Manx produce.
That's right, Jamie Blair from the Roots Beverage Company has got a great drive forward in drink production, and he's using Manx produce. He has his own hives to produce honey to use organic sweetener in his drinks, and he's going from strength to strength.
Yeah, he's trying to avoid the sugar tax, isn't he? And I also went along to the opening weekend of the Douglas Horse Trams here on the prom in Douglas and spoke to some of the people involved to find out how they operate during these summer months, and also to have a look around the stables. So that's all in Countryside. Here it is now.
Manx Radio's Countryside is brought to you by NFU Mutual.
Well, as the horse trams on Douglas Promenade get up and running again, I popped along to the stables on Douglas Promenade to find out how the horses are looked after there, and how they enjoy their job pulling the horse trams up and down the promenade. And as the season gets underway, I found out more about how the operation works. Well, Mike Crellin, just tell us your role here at the horse stables on the prom.
I'm in charge of the stables here, the day-to-day running of the horses. I also put the shoes on the horses, shoe them up, and look after them throughout the year.
The opening day of the horse tram season, is it an exciting one for you, or is it a bit of relief that it's finally here?
It's always a bit of a nerve-wracking time to get things ready and get things up and running before we go and make sure everything's all right. But yeah, we get there. They're out there running today.
And you got the open day as well, so people can come in and have a look around. I must admit, I'm surprised. It's like a bit of a rabbit warren in here, isn't it? You think from the prom there's just a little door in and that's where the horses are, but it's a bit more complex than that.
It's quite a... Yes, there's all the horses stabled in here behind the tramway terrace and whatnot, and people are quite surprised when they come in to see the area that's in here, yes.
And how many horses have you got?
At the moment, we've only got 14 in at the moment, just to start the season, but there'll be others coming in later.
Just seen Charlie, I think is a big Clydesdale there, is he? Have you got? Is that the only type you use?
No, we've got Clydesdale, Shires and crossbreds as well.
Right, and are they much of a muchness in the task that they've got?
The task they've got is all the same. They've got to pull the tram up and down the promenade. The bigger horses we find are a bit slower and not quite as fast as some of them, but it depends on the temperament of the horse.
When you've got a new horse for the horse trams, I mean, can you take them straight out of the stable and put them on the tram, or is it a bit more to it?
There's a lot more to it than that, yeah. We've got to start training out the fields first to get them used to pulling weights, and once they get used to pulling the weight out the field, we bring them in here and we take them down the beach to get them fit, and we start on the beach going up and down. You see different things on the beach and you get used to that environment.
Because there is plenty of distractions on the promenade, and is that one of the things that helps the horses behave when they're pulling the trams? I don't see many of them streaking down the prom.
No, it's all down in training. When we go down, we start. The tram's not in service; it's just the horse pulling the tram, and we have two sidelines and a driver on it, so we control them better. And it's just slowly get them used to everything and bring them into it.
What about you see all the fitness things for cyclists and athletes these days? I mean, do the horses have to have a special diet?
Well, they've got their own feed, the hay, oats and other stuff, yeah.
And what's that? Is it oats mainly that they have?
It's oats mainly.
Rolled oat stuff, of course.
Rolled oats, yes. And then there's the malted barley from bushies as well. So
I've seen the bushies there. I thought they're not drinking bushies on the way on the prom, are they?
Doesn't the world.
Well, how is that connection with that?
Martin Bushies sponsor us for that. We collect that from them, and also Martin gives us some advertising on the horse trams.
And the byproduct that you've got is what he's got left over from the brew and the beer. Is that something?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, it's from when he brew the beer and put it in the sacks. We bring it in.
What about the age of the horses? Does it vary as well?
Yes, they're all varied. We just bring them in as and when they get to 4-year-old if we can, and get on with that.
There are always concerns. People worry about them. Is it hard for them and stuff? But they always seem to enjoy it. That's what they were bred for, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what they're bred for, and they enjoy going out there. Yes.
Yeah, so the start of the season, is it going to be a long one?
Yes, it is. Yeah. Hopefully, it's going to be a good one. Good weather and lots of people travelling on them.
Well, got to use them, haven't they?
Yeah, things have slightly changed this time with the government running them.
But all in all, the running off them, I suppose, from your side and your staff, will be just the same, yeah?
It's just the same, yes, yeah.
Well, let's speak to the Director of Transport Services on the Isle of Man, Ian Longworth, and it's an exciting day for you as well.
It's an important day. In winter we do lots of engineering work and repairs, and it changes to an operating situation. So it's a big push, and as of today now, all 4 railways are back open for the season.
And how many trams do you have of the horse-drawn variety?
There's 13 horse-drawn trams left.
Is there?
And well, we need the different weathers, the different types. So we have enclosed saloons, open toast racks, enclosed toast racks, so that we can put the right tram out on the right weather.
The history of them is tremendous. I've been talking and having a look round here, and it just goes back so long, and connects the connection with the electric side of it as well.
Well, yes, the tramway was built under an Act of 1876, and it's 141 years since the tramway opened. And like so many things, sometimes they survive by accident. The tramway, horse tramway and the Manx Electric ended up owned by the same company. The Manx Electric Railway wanted to extend to the sea terminal, and unfortunately in that process Dunbell's Bank went bust and the money went, and in fact the Manx Electric Railway went bust. And out of that settlement in 1902, Douglas Corporation took the horse tramway over and said they would always meet the Manx Electric. And that's how the horse tram survived. Whereas many other cities, the horse tram was just replaced by an electric tram.
Is there anywhere else in the world that has the horse-drawn trams now?
There are half a dozen places left with horse-drawn trams, but in reality we're probably the most original.
And the connection with the electric, I mean, it took over in lots of places, and I think there was the mention of some cities have had cables that were a bit more hillier, or parts of Douglas that were.
Well, it's as technology develops. The Manx Electric is 1893 when that opened, and is very, very primitive electrical equipment, a bit like still running an Amstrad computer. And during the 20 years, the 1890s and 1900s, there was very quick development of the electric tram. So horse trams on hills, they had cable tramways like we had in Douglas, which went from the clock tower round Bucks. You can tell where we are, can't you? Round up Bucks Road and down to Broughton Broadway. And that was built because that was the best technology to go up hills like Bucks Road. In reality, if it had been built 10 years later, it would have been an electric tramway. Technology moved on at such a pace.
But you must have a great team behind this, because obviously there won't be parts on the shelves for the trams in many parts of the world.
No, obviously the whole of the railways are from the Victorian times, and I have a very good backup with my engineering team who retain the skills. So we take on modern day apprentices, and we have them in the steam workshop in the Manx Electric Railway. They need to learn about the traditional electrical systems, which in many places have long gone.
But the horse trams, it's fantastic to see them go, and I think there's a majority of people, and you can see by the amount of people that's walking around here today, are just pleased that the horse trams are keeping going, because they're just part of Douglas.
Yes, well, it's a good sign of summer coming, isn't it, when the railways are open. And as you've seen, we've had tourists here since the beginning of March, and we need to make sure we entertain them and dip their pocket for some money. But yes, it's a very important part. The railways contribute greatly to the island's economy and bringing the tourists in, but they're also there for the local people, and lots of local people riding today.
There we are, some insight into the workings of the horses and the people involved in looking after them on the Douglas horse trams. And when was the last time you were on one of them, Kiri?
It'd be a couple of years ago now, but they're absolutely lovely to see them going up and down the pram. And a lot of work goes into training them horses. I imagine, they're so placid in amongst all the traffic.
Yeah, but they're them type of horses, I suppose, aren't they? And, the people sort of, some sceptic about it and some are, don't worry. And I suppose the people that know about horses, like the ones we've been talking to, the horses really enjoy it most of the time, even on wet days, cold days, because, they keep them warm if the trams are going up and down busy. So
well, that's it. It's only a short distance to what they would have done in the field many years ago, so they'd be glad to get out the stables and have a scamper up and down, I suppose.
Yeah, it's good old hard ground, so all soft mud ploughing away there.
This is
Delight
it.
for them, isn't it? Well, you were you're talking to a person who's took up a fairly new venture.
Yes, Roots Beverage Company has just been up and running for 3 years now, and they use lots of local produce. And I caught up with Jamie Blair to find out how it all started.
When I was at university, I studied law undergraduate and then project management postgraduate. I didn't really enjoy it, and I was looking for, my passion basically. So from there I came back and I started working for Rock Food Concepts, which is 40 North, Bath and Bottle, and Little Fish. And I was making cocktails in Bath and Bottle, waiting on at 40 North, and helping out in the kitchen at Little Fish. During that time I was helping out also at Knockholebeg Farm, and I started to find my passion for sourced ingredients, so where things were coming from. I worked with Fiona and we put up a beehive up there, which is still there today. And during that time as well, I started to develop a ginger beer recipe, which I got from from a recipe book which I got for my 21st birthday. And then over time, I've just slowly developed the product. So the original recipe had so much sugar in. We reduced the sugar. Didn't quite work, so we replaced it with honey, and then also we reduced the honey quantity as well, until we got the ginger beer that we wanted. And then from there I started producing it in my mum and dad's utility room. So what seemed at the time a massive order of 12 bottles, actually on reflection now is a piece of cake. I used to pasteurize those 12 bottles, and it used to take forever because I used to stand over my mum and dad's hob with this thermometer, and I couldn't move because I had to keep an eye on the temperature for the whole time it was pasteurizing. And then from there I guess the community has helped the growth with this business, because people have heard about it, inquired about it, people are selling it. And now after yesterday we just did one of our biggest batches, and that's 1,300 bottles. So it's evolved nicely over time, over the past 2 years. So.
But you don't only sell ginger beer, you sell all sorts.
Yeah, we've got 4 products now. So we've got it's now called a ginger presse, a proper lemonade, something that's a bit more out there, cold brew coffee, which is made from Noah Roast House coffee. And then I've just developed a new product, which is a tonic water. There's not so many sort of smaller tonic water producers, so that's where we want to try and jump in and offer something a little bit different.
And you do all the research yourself for the Roots Beverage Company?
There's a small team of us now. There's 2 based in the UK, and then there's myself and Ash on the island, and between us we get stuck in and we develop different products, and then we send each other different products that we've developed, and make little tweaks. But the production and the development, the actual physical development of the product, all happens down or on the Isle of Man in Tramode. So.
And you've obviously invested in some fabulous machinery here now to make this actually happen.
Yeah, but we've got a large, which is actually an ice cream tank, but it worked quite nicely because it's got a paddle built into it, so it keeps the mixture mixing. And then from there, the product's then pumped up into the trough there, and then the bottles are filled from the trough onto the carbonator, spun around a few times until we get the satisfactory amount of CO2, and then from there everything is capped and then pasteurised in a massive water bath.
But you've obviously picked up some local trade. There's lots of people interested in your product. It's getting out there.
Yeah, we're getting there. So we're just in the process of teeing up for our orders for ShopRite and Heron and Brearley as well, and Manvend as well also. So hopefully we'll start to see it out there a bit more. And
You're only in your third year. It's a great achievement, isn't it?
Well, we're at the very start at the moment, so we'll just have to see how far we can. Well, hopefully we can keep going and keep building and keep growing. That's what the plan is.
But you've also invested in your bees with the community farm.
Yeah, so we had a project last weekend. So if anyone wants to have a look on our Facebook page or Twitter or Instagram, you can watch the video from the weekend. So we had the Secret Pizza Company, Noah Bakehouse, the Children's Centre Community Farm, and then also the Society for the Preservation of the Manx Countryside and Wildlife were all involved in this project. So we basically took 2 hours on a Saturday, planted 200 trees. There was about 30 to 40 people that volunteered to do it. So people were coming and going throughout the morning. And then afterwards we enjoyed some nice coffee, some pizza, and then obviously some roots as well.
It was a really sunny day. You were very lucky.
Yeah, it was perfect. Couldn't have asked for better weather.
But what you're trying to do is grow these trees and flowers for the bees and to have hives to collect the honey for your juice.
Absolutely, that's what the goal is. So 10% of our profits go straight back to bee-related projects. So things like what we did with the Children's Centre Community Farm. We've got 15 hives arriving on Monday, so we'll be looking to fill them and doing other projects throughout the island. So if anyone has any ideas, they're more than welcome to come and speak to me.
But you've had to learn so much. Obviously, the Isle of Man bees are very special. We're disease-free, and you've been on bee improvement courses to try and be the best beekeeper.
Yeah, absolutely. So over the past 3 months, I've been spending a lot of time with the Beekeeping Society on the Isle of Man, learning how to beekeep basically. I've been doing it for a year and a half now, but it's just having that mentor essentially to support you through beekeeping. It's not an easy thing, especially when you have a very angry hive, which we have at the moment. So it's just bouncing different things off experienced beekeepers, which really helped. And hopefully we can get some nice, kind bees next time.
Maybe a new queen might help. But obviously, everything you put into your drinks is local. This is what you're trying to drive forward.
Yeah, well, we use as local ingredients as we possibly can. And it's, as I said, it's all produced on the island, Green Man spring water, yeah.
And you obviously attend the Food and Drink Festival and the local shows to try and do a bit of promotion.
Yeah, we're planning on being at the Royal Ag, the Southern, and also the Food and Drink Festival this year. And hopefully you'll just see us about more often this year, because we're a bit more equipped this year. So.
But people can get in touch. They can find you on Facebook and Twitter, you were saying.
Yep, or if they want to email me, it's jamie@rootsbevco.com. Alternatively, we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and our website is rootsbevco.com.
That was Jamie Blair from the Roots Beverage Company.
Very interesting, isn't it? And very, very keen. And it's done a lot of homework and interesting, not just gone for one beehive.
Just 15.
Oh, well, fair enough.
No, he's very, very enthusiastic. But it's nice to see someone going from grassroots, getting the bees, collecting the honey, producing this product that he's doing and actually marketing and selling it to local shops. He's doing the full system, and it's really, really showing it's paying off now.
Yeah, and it's great, that you can't beat. You can read as many books as you like, but when you're in them divisions at certain sections where he's been working in the past, that just gives you that insight of how people prefer to do things and what they like and what they don't like doing, isn't it?
That's right. He has a lot of experience with dealing with people, and he's very approachable, and as far as business sense goes, he's a lot of knowledge, and the use of Manx produce in there is phenomenal, and he's really, really wanting to keep it all local. So good luck to him.
Manx Radio's Countryside is brought to you by NFU Mutual.
Well, last week I took a visit to find out more about the bugs and bees down at Cregneath village. But while I was down there, I took the opportunity to bring me back some memories of my childhood visiting with the schools down to Harry Kelly's cottage, and who better to explain the history of it and how things operated and still operate as they were was Tim O'Hanlon.
This is my third season down here in Harry's, and I'm enjoying it, meeting people.
There's something unique from people who live in the Isle of Man. I obviously born and bred in Derby, from the other side of the world to some people in the Isle of Man. But when we used to come down here with school trips, I mean, we learnt about Harry Kelly's cottage, and it's still the same looking in it.
Well, it is the same, yes, and that's the authenticity of it. We can't alter it, or else it wouldn't be Harry Kelly's cottage anymore.
And when you look at this, I mean, you look from the outside, it's in pristine condition still. And did they take a lot of maintenance in days gone by?
They did, because the thatch should be changed every 3 to 5 years, because they used to use either oats, wheat or barley, whichever they grew at the time. Because of the weather down here, well, not anywhere in the island really, we get the winds all over the place. It has to be kept down with fishing nets and rope, which is very unique, because I've talked to hundreds of different visitors and they've never seen thatch like this.
Really?
Mm.
And it's, the unique thing, some of the houses that have been adapted later in life that are still up, but have maybe got slate roofs or different types of roof on them now, but you could still tell they were by the sort of stones sticking out where they used to tie the ropes on.
Yes, I believe, yes. There are houses, especially down the north, that have had a story put on top at a later date, but the stones have been left there, so you see the stones halfway up the wall.
You see now as well, people building houses and they sort of put the door they're going in and out of on the sheltered side. Not so much the case here. Didn't worry them?
No, it didn't, no. Well, I think especially Harry Kelly's cottage here was built here because the well was right at the back across the road.
Right.
Because that's the only thing that's really near to the cottage. If they went fishing, they had to go down to Port St Mary because the currents are too bad down at the Calf. If they were going down the mines, that's Laxey. And to dig the peat, they had to go as far as Snaefell because there's no peat down the south here because of sand-based soil.
How were they getting there and back with the peat?
Horse and cart, walking.
Wow. It's incredible to think, isn't it?
Well, it's a long way, but on top of that, they were only allowed to dig it 3 days a week, and only in the months of May and June. So that's 24 days to cut sufficient peat for the whole community for the whole year. And you'd have to remember that fire was kept in 24/7. It was only form of heating, only form of cooking, and at night time, apart from a couple of candles, was the only bit of light they had.
Right. When you look inside here, Tim, is it as uniquely as it was? I see the fire's going already too.
Oh yes, it is unique. And most of the furniture here was here when Harry was here, although he was a bachelor. He was a slightly, shall we say, awkward gentleman. And I think the consensus of opinion, he got on better with his animals than he did with humans.
Right. So in this particular place, he wouldn't have to have made provision for kids and bigger families?
No, but there would have been children here because his parents lived here and his grandparents lived here.
Right, and how many kids or children, because quite big families then,
They
weren't
were big families, there were 6, 8 or 10, but I would imagine there was a lot of infant mortalities because with no doctors or midwives about at the time.
I mean, when you look at it, there's only 2 rooms and a bit of a loft in it. Were most of the houses that people were living in with families this size round about
They were,
days?
yes. And
When would this date back to?
Well, this cottage itself is about 300 years old, and in the prime of the village, I believe there are about 36 dwellings there. So the average age, you're talking about nearly 300 people in the village.
Right. And what would they do? Just have little social gatherings like some of them still celebrate today to keep the traditions going?
Especially May Day, and then harvest, a whole family, all the children would help as well, so the schools would be shut for a few weeks at the harvest time.
And would they have the school down here in the village? And see the church is obviously still going?
Yeah, there was a church, one of the buildings up the top of was a school at one time, but there was also a school, I believe, half a mile down the hill.
Right.
But the children would only go to school probably maybe 2 times a week, because the rest of the time they were out helping their mothers tending the land.
And what would they see? The spinning wheel is in here, and the dresser, and that mighty clock that's there. I mean, were they luxury, some of these items then?
Well, everybody had a dresser. Yeah. It was really, with the crockery there, it was their bank. If they ran out of money, they'd take a few to market and sell them or swap it for food.
All right. So when they talk about using the best china and things, that's exactly it was a last resort.
Yes, that's right. And the clock itself, they'd save up pennies over the years, and I believe they would buy the works from a watchmaker, and then the body from a joiner, and then build it in situ.
So they'd be making these themselves, some of them?
Some of them would be, yes. Yeah, this actually is a replica because I believe the original is in the museum.
Right. And just the room here with the little crib in it, and it looked like a bit of a four-poster.
That actually was Harry Kelly's own bed, which he bought at auction on the Calf. Rode it across, carried it all the way up here, and it was a four-poster, but with a low headroom in here in the cottage, he couldn't get it in, so he had to cut the top off.
Oh, is that what's happened
That's
to you?
what's
Half
happened,
a
yes,
four-poster.
yeah.
But you get the scale of how things have changed him when you walk through the doors, isn't it? Because I'm not particularly tall, but I still have to duck my head to get into the doors.
Right, yes, yeah.
But what about the people that are visiting here? I mean, are they surprised when they come in here and see how it is and still see how it used to be 300 years ago?
Yes, yeah. Well, what I'm surprised about is the different nationalities that have come through this door. You mention it everywhere: Australia, New Zealand, Japan, China, America, Germany. Every country under the sun come here, and they cannot believe what they see when they see it.
Right, and they've never seen anything like it in the world?
No. Some of them see certain similarities with villages in Ireland and even over in Norway and Switzerland.
Right.
But the Americans, especially the Americans, come here with their cameras. They're clicking 50 to the dozen.
Yeah. Gosh, and what's the most thing that they comment on, or is it just the general surprise of everything here? Because it's simple, yet there's so much little trinkets that you can see, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just the overall atmosphere, I think, because some of the people, they just sit here and just absorb the atmosphere in.
So it's open for the full season, and Harry Kelly's
open
cottage
until the end of October.
Yeah.
And
every day?
Every day, yes. And then when from beginning of practice week in TT to the last race at Grand Prix, it's open an extra hour in the afternoon.
And what time from?
It's open at 10 and it closes in high season at 5.
Tim O'Hanlon telling me the history about Harry Kelly's cottage at Cregneash and how it's still operating and still looks today as it did 300 years ago. And it just brings back so many memories for me. Even from the primary school when we had them very rare trips down. Well, it's the only time I ever got away from the north of the Isle of Man. Dad or anyone wouldn't take him anywhere. Not going down there. What for?
Waste of a good day.
Yeah, so, it brought back a lot of memories from school time, and it's just still as I remember it in there. And it's the smell of that wood fire burning away in there, and just how simple things were. And really, it just goes to show we don't really need that much else today.
No, this is it. And it's so well built. It's lasted all these years. It, just shows that some of those old ways are still good ways of building. So,
and the thatch had to be done, and I suppose they had everything in house, didn't they? So, but them trips that they had to even walk from there quite a few miles, just some of them where they were working and back, and
hard days
rough
put in.
all weather, yeah. But there we go. It certainly brought back a lot of memories for me, and it's of course all open now throughout the summer times for all the heritage sites on the Isle of Man. So please go around and support them so these can be kept the way they are.
Manx Radio's Countryside is brought to you by NFU Mutual.
There we are. Horse tram season's underway. Memories of Cregneash for me, certainly. And new ventures, so the old combined with the new, and that's what we like on Countryside, isn't it? Because that's what it's about, the way things were at times, the way things are, and the way things might be in the future, I suppose, isn't it?
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, be like the Christmas Carol. Ghost of Countryside past, present and future. We'll leave it there for this week. We'll be back next week with more. So from me, Simon Clark.
And me, Kiri Kermit.
We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Don't sit in the slow lane. Join the fast lane right now with Shaw's all-new Superfast Plus broadband. Enjoy more bandwidth, amazing speeds and the best value on the island from just £23.95 per month. So don't be left behind. Get a piece of the high-speed action with Superfast Plus broadband from Shaw. For details, visit our stores in Douglas, Ramsey and Port Erin or click shaw.com. Love being Shaw. Terms and conditions apply.